I was right. This is going to contain spoilers for Shadows of Self, the second book in Mistborn Era 2. I've just finished listening to the audiobook, and I was right about, in my review of the previous book, I predicted that there was another shard or god at work, and at the end of Shadows of Self just now we've discovered that there is another god at work because the metal is unknown to Harmony, and I thought that the biggest stakes that were going to come in was that there would be another shard or god coming in to challenge Harmony. And I also figured out early-ish on in the book that Governor Innate was the conjurer part arm or bleeder. So I had an inkling earlier on, but I sort of knew for sure after the safe room. But the thing that surprised me was that Leslie had been the conjurer part arm all along. And in my review of Alloy of Law, I was saying how sad it was that Sazed really doesn't have any power or control. He's having to keep everything in balance and only influence things through nudges because he can't sway more towards preservation or ruin. However, he can't do what he wants, which would be to sway towards preservation, because otherwise everything would fall apart. He has to keep those two in balance. And it was all the more sad because his people, the Terrace people, had been kept in servitude by the Lord Ruler for so long, and now Sazed has ended up in the same position yet again, sort of, still not being able to choose what he wants or do what he wants. But this book has thrown up some hard questions about Sazed. He's always been this really good figure before he took on ruin and preservation, and we thought he was going to be a really good god, as it were. But he appears to sort of be struggling and making the balance wrong between how much he's coercing or influencing people, or whether he's pushing some too hard. It throws up questions about free will and choice, and it throws up interesting questions for me about what kind of a god Sazed is, and if he's failing, always bad. Because what I love about God in real life, in our world, is that he is the exact opposite of an abuser. He never coerces, never controls, never compromises our autonomy or freedom of will or mind, never crosses that boundary in any way, never influences us even apart from to share his love with us. Whereas with Sazed being a god, who's obviously crossed that line with Part Arm, which has sent her off into this in thinking that Harmony is evil and controlling. But what I don't understand is how they're a conjurer at all, because at the end of Mistborn Era 1, they all took out the spikes from their back in the resolution in order to die, to save everyone, and so they all became mist wraiths. And I don't remember Sazed changing that at the end when he restored everything. I don't remember him restoring the conjurer, but maybe he did and I've just forgotten, because I thought Tensoon and all those people were dead. So, and it hasn't been explained in Mistborn Era 2 in this book why they're a conjurer about at all. So what's so special about Wax? Why does Harmony want to protect him so much? Because he sent Part Arm all those years ago to be his bodyguard. So what's so important about Wax? He can't control him. I mean, you can only talk to him if he has the earring in. There's no hemalurgy going on there without the earring in, I mean. His mother's side of the family is from Terrace, so I don't know if that has something to do with it, because Sazed obviously is a Terraceman, or if it's to do with him being twin-born, but there are loads of people who are twin-born, so what is it that is special about Wax? Oh, is Wax a descendant of Twindwall? Because she had children, didn't she? And so maybe Sazed is looking out for Wax in particular because he was in love with Twindwall. And I do really love Wayne. There is his humour and banter and silliness, but his extreme excellence in his disguises and accents and being able to morph into anyone. But how much of that is masking and how much is wanting to become other people because of his sadness about what he did in his past. When he was a teenager, he mugged someone and shot them, and that person ended up dying, and that person had children, and so he, as the phrase goes, he killed their daddy. And as the quote said in the previous book, some things can't be fixed by being sorry, and the children of this man he killed won't forgive him. He agrees with that. He agrees that he shouldn't be forgiven, and ever since he's refused to use guns and has been working on the good side of the law for the rest of his life. And every month he goes to these children of the person he killed and gives them money, but they only take it from him as long as he knows that he is not forgiven by them. And I was really moved by that scene, because I think because as readers we've got to know Wayne, the temptation is to want to have sympathy for him, but then you remind yourself what he's done, the weight of it, and the impact he's had on others. And I agree with the children and sympathise with the children because they can never get their father back, and nothing, no matter how sorry he says he is, he can't change the fact that their father is now dead. And the money isn't the point, the money that he gives. It's only right that he gives what the father would have provided for them anyway. That's not something to be praised, but just it's the right thing. You shouldn't be praised for just doing the right thing. So I harden myself to being too sympathetic towards Wayne in this regard. The children are the victims here. If only all offenders in real life had the same understanding and remorse that Wayne has. And I totally called it about Steris being the interesting one and the one who was going to be better for Wax. I love her as a character and I want to see more of her. But yes, lots to think about and mull over, and this Trell, whether it's another god or shard or whoever it is, and we still don't know what's happening with those kidnapped women. We haven't heard anything more about the set, really, and what they've been doing all throughout this book, because if they're breeding allomancers, that would take hundreds of years if they were trying to get someone powerful, I guess. And I'm worried for Sazed and whatever shard or god is coming in to challenge him and how he'll face that, and whether he'll stay pure of heart if he is, because Sazed is such a lovely character and I want him to stay the same old Sazed. But now I'll be going straight on to Bands of Mourning, the third book in Mistborn Era 2, and I'm really looking forward to it now. If you enjoyed this video, please consider watching the first pinned video in my profile, which explains the situation with my neck and what I'm having to do every day to stay alive and why I'm having to fundraise for urgent and essential neurosurgery. Thank you.